welcome to this week's episode of LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Bronagh Morgan, and here's the show where we talk about what you're talking about. Viewers, people who are living in London, people who are living in southwestern Ontario. Recently, what's the holiday that we just had? Valentine's Day, right? Well, I don't know if that's a holiday. It's a day that some people mark, some people don't like, right? So what's on a lot of people's minds is relationships. We're going to talk a little bit about relationships today from some experts who are studying relationships and a lot more things. Our first guest from King's College, one of the colleges of our fantastic university here in London, Ontario, Western University, Dr. Joseph Michalski. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, busy guy, professor of sociology, obviously, but you wanted to come today and chat with our viewers a lot about King's, but a lot about this study that you have going on right now, which relates to relationships, couples and relationships. So let's hear about it.
Well, great. I'll just kick it off by saying, first of all, thanks again for having us on this program. This is wonderful. We love the opportunity to talk about the work that we're doing here at King's. And this is just one, of course, of many studies. I have so many tremendous colleagues who are working in all different fields of the social sciences and the humanities. And so lots of great folks doing a lot of great work. Our particular study, or this particular study, is about, as you mentioned, relationships. So our primary interest, we've been funded by the college and some external funders as well to study conflict resolution. How do couples, intimate partners of all kinds, of all backgrounds, how do they manage their conflicts? How do they deal with conflicts? What are the positive and negative strategies, and so on. And so we're trying to take a really in-depth look at ideally a broad cross-section of Londoners, and we'd like to talk to them. And actually, first and foremost, we have an online survey we'd like to get people to participate in and talk about their relationships, but specifically in the context of what are the common problems that they confront in their relationships, and then how do they manage those problems.
Okay, interesting. So we all have relationships, and that's just a fact of life.
Right.
What got you enthusiastic about this research? What's in it? What's the thing that piqued your interest?
Well, there's two dimensions, I will say. So the first thing that really piqued my interest long ago was that, as you said, most people have relationships at some point along the way. Some are long-term, maybe a series of short-term relationships, whatever the case may be. But what piqued my interest years ago is that all relationships seem to have some level of conflict. And so it interested me, not just myself, but a number of people who've been working in these areas, especially you think of the practical professions of social work and counseling and so on. And so I studied those professions, or in those professions years ago, and then I thought, I wonder if we can do a more in-depth look at the dynamics of these conflicts. And basically what I've always argued, and again, this is not unique to myself, but conflict's kind of a ubiquitous aspect of the human condition. We all have conflicts. We all have disagreements. And so what I was interested in, both from a clinical standpoint from years ago, being in social work, to the present day, I was interested in, well, so how do people effectively manage those conflicts? So that was one element that had always interested me. And then the other element was that we've actually studied these things, of course, for years, and we even have national studies in the Canadian context and the US context and other countries around the world. But those national studies only scratch the surface of how people manage conflicts. So the second sort of driving force is we wanted to look at more in much greater depth and detail of how the dynamics unfold. So that's the other motivator.
And so a study like this, and I guess the studies that have come in the past as well, understanding the conflicts and understanding how people are resolving them. What's the goal?
Well, there are actually several goals. So let me just break it down into different parts. So first, I would say the first goal is to, once again, try to understand at a more descriptive level, what are the dominant conflicts that come up. First of all,
what are the subject matter?
Yeah, the subject matter. What do people argue about, fight about?
Gotcha.
And when I say argue and fight, that can be, of course, done in a very benign and a very constructive way. Right? So, if you think of it on a continuum, so on the one hand, you've got people who have very healthy relationships and have learned very, effective strategies for dealing with conflicts and disagreements. And of course, that's the optimal, there are these optimal strategies that we'd all like to have or develop. But then, of course, as you go along that continuum, all kinds of people from different backgrounds and different life experiences, and maybe some of whom have experienced trauma themselves, may struggle with some of these issues, or they may struggle with the nature of how their partner has been struggling in their lives. And of course, at the other end of the continuum are people who have very unhealthy dynamics, relationship dynamics. And in the extreme, of course, we know about domestic violence. And sometimes conflicts result in violence. So our first objective is to study what are the most common issues that people are dealing with today. And there are a lot of common issues historically that come up in relationships, but at the same time, we're in 2024, we've now survived the pandemic. There are always new things and kind of, particularly to a specific historical period. So that's, kind of what we want to look at first. What are people arguing about, fighting about, having disagreements about? So that's one objective. The second objective would be, okay, well then, what are the dominant strategies? How do most people manage their conflicts? Okay, and that's where we want to go into much greater depth than, as I said, the national studies have done. So the national studies just collect this very surface level information, but they don't delve into the interpersonal dynamics. How do these things unfold? What are the factors that lead to an escalation of an argument, or for that matter, de-escalation? What are the strategies that people use? So that's a second major objective. And I guess a third one would be if we can learn better how people, first of all, what their conflicts are about, secondly, how they manage those, then, the ultimate goal with any good social science research is to develop strategies for intervention. What are the implications? What are the sort of weak points, if you will, within relationships where we might need to buttress those through other types of interventions, resources, getting people in touch with people who might be able to help. So we want to, at the end of the study, we want to be able to have good, strong recommendations for how we can move forward to help address the problems that people are having in their family, in their intimate relationships.
Fantastic and fascinating research as well. So how long have you been working on this particular research project?
Well, I've been working on this specific project for the last 18 months or so. I actually did a book on family violence that I published last year it's called an integrated look into family violence.
Feel free, yes.
No, I don't want. I'm not here to
yes.
promote the book, but the point is that was sort of the backdrop that led to the development of this particular study. And here's where I want to give a special shout out to King's University College, because the year before last, when I started this study, we generously funded some research through the university, and we established something called the King's Research Excellence Fund. And the King's Research Excellence Fund funded both my own research as a senior researcher. It's a polite way of saying that I'm old, and been around a while. And then we also had another award for an early scholar, like an early career scholar. And then we had some smaller awards for very specific projects. Anyway, long story short, I was funded then with this particular new program for 3 years. So I'm a King's Research Excellence Chair, and specifically in that role, we're studying the issue of domestic violence, and specifically how, beyond just violence, how do couples manage their conflicts. And so, as I say, we're about 18 months into it, and
well, we do have to take a break, so that's a great place to take a break, because I want to get more into the nuts and bolts of how people can get involved in the study after this. So please stay with us. More with Dr. Joe after the break.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Carbon monoxide is a deadly gas you can't see, smell, or taste.
Homes with fuel-burning appliances and/or attached garages must have working CO alarms installed outside all sleeping areas.
Don't let the silent killer get you. Install working CO alarms today.
So I've been with Rogers TV for going on 7 years now, doing stuff for everything from working at the London Nationals here to doing the London Majors baseball. I've done basketball, I've done soccer, I've done football. basically anything that the Rogers TV wants me to do. I wanted to be a volunteer because it gave me that opportunity to really improve my skills and gives me a chance to use them every week. It's not easy to go out and just be like, hey, I have talents in talking to a camera and wanting to talk to people. Finding a place to do that isn't the easiest place, but Rogers TV has been a great opportunity and gives me a chance to talk about the one thing I'm most passionate about, and that's hockey. If you've ever thought about doing something like this, go out and do it. There's nothing more exciting and exhilarating than standing in front of a camera and actually getting able to talk about stuff that you feel passionately about.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Bronagh, and we've been talking about, well, I guess we're not talking about relationships. We're talking about a study about relationships. It's fascinating to, be a part of any kind of research study. And for somebody who is not working in academia, just maybe take us through what are the steps in the process, and I guess how people who are fascinated by this, maybe you're in a relationship right now and would like to contribute to this study, how you can get involved.
Absolutely, that would be great. So in our case, there are a number of different strategies for studying these dynamics. And the original idea was to try to recruit people and bring them into campus or bring them to a safe space where they could feel comfortable talking about their relationships. And that's still possible, and it's an objective down the road, a secondary objective. But the first phase of the study, what we're trying to do is recruit people to actually complete an online survey. That's much less threatening. It guarantees their anonymity. They'll hopefully be free to talk about or write about whatever they're experiencing in their relationships. So what we've done is we've created a detailed online survey that we're going to ask people, if they're interested, to click on we have a web link, of course, and then the survey comes up and we'll ask them to participate that way. They have to give their consent, of course. And it takes about, the better part of an hour to complete, if you take it seriously and you go through all the questions and so on and so forth. But we're hoping that people will actually benefit even from just doing the survey. It'll help highlight or reinforce for them, or maybe emphasize points of interest or areas of agreement or disagreement in their own relationships, or maybe things that they need to work on. So there's a kind of an immediate personal benefit potentially right there. But then secondly, if they complete the survey, they've participated, and they're interested in following up to get some help or some resources, we provide that as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it depends on people's circumstances. A lot of people are in very healthy and happy relationships, and that's great. We still want you to participate, because really it's in an ideal world, we can all learn from the people who are, like in any field or any endeavor, the people who are most successful, the people who are doing well.
Right.
Can in that sense serve as models for the rest of us. So we're interested in anybody, whatever their background, same-sex relationships, you name it. People who have intimate partners, we want to get them to open up and talk as in-depth as they're comfortable about these relationships, and again, specifically how they manage conflicts. And if we can get that information out there, we hope to learn, as I say, not only who's having problems, but also, as I say, on the other side, who's doing really well, and what are the factors, what are that contribute to that? What should we be looking for in relationships? And if we can get that information out there, we think that can help the public in general.
Does the couple fill out the survey together?
That's up to them. We in an ideal world, we would have them actually not fill it out together, but we would like to have both partners participate. That's difficult to do for a lot of reasons.
Right.
People are working, people have different schedules, etc. If we can get people to participate, both parties, because as with it's called the Rashomon effect, everybody has a different perspective. They bring a different lens, and the couples, of course, they're not clones of one another. They may have very different assessments of their relationships. So that is an option. That's something that we want to include. But at the same time, just whoever you are, if you're interested in just talking about your relationship, you don't have to do it with your partner at all.
Okay.
And so if you are participating, we don't want you to do it with your partner. We want you to do it from your perspective.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And is it people who are presently in a relationship or, okay?
Great question. Yeah, so what we're trying to get either people who are in current relationships or if they've been in a relationship within the past 12 months that may have ended.
Okay. Age limitations, languages?
Good point. Yeah, so there are no, there are age restrictions. So you have to be an adult. Right, so we want people who are 18 and older because they are able to give consent for themselves.
Of course,
so you have to give consent.
Right.
And so we don't have to go to the parents or that sort of thing. So we want adults. So again, from young adults right on up. You could be 80 years old and complete this online survey as well.
I'm sure you'd have a lot of lessons to teach.
Exactly. But right now we have we only have the survey in English at present, right? And so that's again mainly because most people in the London area, again, English might be a second language, but most people can actually speak it or communicate or at least fill out a form. So at this point, yeah, it is a little bit selective in that sense. But yeah, you have to be able to read English and communicate.
And then in terms of the time frame for completing the surveys, compiling your data. So when are you looking at trying to put some results together?
Yeah, so we're launching this officially, the website and the web link at the end of, probably when this show airs. So basically at the end of February. And then we'll be gathering data for the next 3 to 4 months. It depends on what the response is. We hope to get as many as 500 responses.
Wonderful.
And but depending on how that goes and what the uptake is and how excited people are about participating, that'll determine our timelines. We can extend it further, right? So I have another 1.5 years to do this, but I'd like to get the data collection. I'd like to get the participants completing their surveys within the next 6 months, ideally.
Wonderful.
And then we'll analyze it. And then hopefully, certainly by this time next year, if we have this back on, we can talk about the results. We can talk about what we've learned.
I think a lot of people would be fascinated to hear what you've learned. And now when you talk about we,
yes.
Obviously, research participants, it's a wonderful way to be involved in developing, information. But you're the person leading this study, but there's a lot of people on this team, aren't there?
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of the great things about King's and a lot of higher education institutions is we try to encourage people to do practical work or applied work in association when they're studying, they're getting their degrees. And so for studies like this, we always hire research assistants. We also have teaching assistants at King's who do marking, that sort of thing. So in this particular case, I have 2 primary research assistants, top-notch students at King's. We have a lot of great students, of course, but in our particular case, for this particular study, I've got 2 of my top students, Alex Petta and Kira Patterson, and they've been assisting me all along. And I won't steal their thunder. I'd like for them to talk about all the work that they've been doing behind the scenes to make this happen.
Fantastic, because it really does take a team to put something like this together. Such an important issue, and you could be doing so much good with all of that information that you're putting together.
We hope to.
Absolutely. So I appreciate the work that you have put in already. So for those people who are interested in getting involved, the survey is going to be, I believe we're going to put the link up, and so people can jump on that survey when it's available.
We'll talk about it, or my research assistants can talk about the links that we have for the survey. We also have a Facebook page. So we have some other ways to get in touch with us. And then there's even my information at the university if people want to follow up with me. Directly. So.
Thank you so much. All right, so we are going to have to take another break. We are going to be chatting with Kira and Alex after the break. So please stay tuned and we'll hear more about the study in King's College as well after this.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, I'm Liz Dowdsville, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. In 2008, carbon monoxide, a deadly invisible gas, killed an entire family in our province. That tragedy led to a new law requiring homes with potential CO sources to have alarms. John Gignac's family members passed away that day, and he shares his story to save others.
Please make sure you have working CO alarms in your home. Protect your family today.
In The Paint Box, host Jane Roy puts a spotlight on various aspects of the vibrant visual art community in the City of London. The Paint Box, Mondays at 5:30 p.m.
Hi, my name is Veronica Antipolo, and I am the manager of the Social Enterprise Incubator at Pillar Nonprofit, and I'm also a professional storyteller, and I am this week's guest on Pollinating Purpose.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. Having a really interesting conversation today. I love finding out about the research that is going on. We have such amazing schools in this area and so much amazing knowledge getting generated, and so many things that people in the public, our viewers, can participate in as well. Let's talk to Dr. Joe before the break about this couple's relationship conflict study, and he mentioned Kira and Alex, who are two of the, I guess, research assistants on this study. So thank you so much for taking the time today, because you're both students as well as working on this project, so it's got to be a lot to give your time today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so maybe I will start with, I guess, you, Kira. Talk to us a little bit about the role of our research assistants in a study like this.
So what I find really interesting about the role of being a research assistant is when we're in class, we are required to look for sources when we're writing papers. And we find all of these long papers with statistics and interviews, and we don't see any of that background work that goes into creating that. So I think it's really interesting that we're taking it from a ground zero perspective. Like, we've created this survey, and we're now seeing it go all the way through.
Fantastic.
And we're asking people questions, and we're going to get the responses and hopefully put together something in the end to show what we've created.
How much of your time, because you both are studying criminology, sociology, you're working in at King's College right now. You're third year, I think, and fourth year?
Fourth year.
I've got it mixed up. Okay, so lots of stuff that you've got on the go as well. How much time goes into contributing as a research assistant to a study like this?
So with this kind of study, we've been working on it since about the summer. I would say we were given tasks to put the survey together.
So this is year-round work for you.
Year-round work, yeah, over the summer, throughout the school year. So it is a decent amount of work, but realistically, it's about 3 to 5 hours a week compiling data and setting up the survey. And now it's kind of nice to see that the work is kind of coming together, and we're going to be able to launch it soon enough.
Interesting. So next up, obviously, you're looking to get the data rolling in. Got to be a lot of technical elements. Do you have any role in terms of like keeping the data safe, or how does that all work? It just rolls into a database and you can extract information from it?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, that's how it's been set up. People are able to just access the link, fill out their consent forms, read about the study, and then they're able to input their data and have it remain confidential and have that anonymity that is really important for a study like this. And then once we kind of reach our desired amount of sample size that we would like to see, then we'll be able to interpret our data a little bit further.
And then at the end of the day, when we, hopefully we get to have you guys back on the show next year and hear about some of the results of this study. What are you hoping from this study? Maybe in terms of like how it's going to help people who are in relationships, but how about for you in terms of like learning about what it's like to work in research? I think maybe some personal goals.
Yeah, I think it was definitely an eye-opening experience because I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I came to King's College. I was struggling to figure out what I wanted to do, and this was definitely an option that I thought about taking. I don't know if I'll necessarily go into research or anything like that, but it's definitely a very interesting opportunity to be given as a student and to be in third year and be given that opportunity, because I don't feel that it comes for a lot of people. So it was a very exciting opportunity that I got.
Absolutely. And it just came from being in one of Dr. Mikowski's classes?
Yes, I was in one of his classes, and I wanted to go to his office hours just so he could put a face to the name. And then a few weeks later, he had emailed me asking if I wanted to help out. So it was really exciting.
Fantastic. How about you, Alex?
Yeah, and like kind of the point that Kira touched on earlier was seeing the background aspect of research and how research is compiled. It's nice to be kind of right in the groove of everything and putting the research together, collecting the data, and really seeing how the stuff that we learn every single day in class comes together, and how much effort and how much time it takes. It really kind of makes us appreciative of the work that we are able to see every single day, and then being able to do it ourselves is quite a challenge, and it's also a nice sign of personal growth throughout university.
Absolutely. All right, if you don't mind, I'd love to hear a little bit more about each of you. So you're both in So in the Department of Social Work, is that right? Or criminology, I think you both mentioned. So talk to me a little bit about maybe your career goals.
Okay, well, I'm a double major at King's and I'm doing criminology and French. And I'm not actually going to do anything with criminology. I'm going to hopefully apply to Teachers College with the French.
Right.
And I just found criminology really interesting. I originally wanted to do a career in that, but then the French is a really nice thing for Teachers College to have.
Absolutely.
And I just find criminology so interesting because it gives you a different perspective, and sociology itself I find extremely interesting because it's interactions that everybody has on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And when I walk around now after I've learned some things in school, I kind of like think, I'm like, oh, I learned that in class, or I can apply this theory that I learned to something real that I'm seeing in front of me. It's really eye-opening, I find.
Analyzing the people
Yeah.
you're around every day.
Yeah.
So, all right. I feel a little bit on the spot right now.
I'm not judging.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Whew. Okay, Alex, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm in my 4th year of an honors double major in sociology and criminology. So I like the combination that both sides of the discipline have, where you get that sociology aspect, like Kira said, where it's the more human interactions, and then you get that criminology aspect that, for me, as at least for my goals in my future career and hoping to go into law school and pursuing a legal career, I find that the criminology aspect really just applies really well, and I just love the environment at King, so it's like a perfect fit for me for my post-secondary degree.
I love King's. I think it's perfect for if you want a university experience that's not so daunting, because when you think of bigger universities, like even Western itself, I think of that as a huge university, and it seems a little bit scary, especially if I think back to myself as like a grade 12 student. I'm like, that is a huge university and it's a little terrifying. But when you think of King's, it's a very small campus. It has a very good community sense because you walk through campus and you do see people every day. You notice people and you're able to like connect with people more, which I think is really important. And it's, I don't know, it's just a good community feel. Like I like feeling so connected to everybody. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's beautiful. How about you, Alex? Your experience at King's?
It gives you those opportunities to get close to your professors, and like with Dr. Mikowski, like if we weren't at King's, I don't think we'd be working on our project as we are now, or have been able to create such a great relationship with him and have him as our mentor throughout university. So I really do love the way that King's is set up and the way it's contributed to our personal growth as students.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that experience, because I think a lot of our viewers would love to hear, you know, we've got these wonderful academic institutions, very different in this city, but King's is a real gem. So I'm glad that you're having a wonderful experience. I hope that the rest of your year goes great. I hope you get all of the data that you need, and you'll come back and visit us again next year and tell us, I don't know, some information that might help all of us, because we all have conflicts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kira. Thank you so much, Alex. Also, Dr. Joe, and thank you, viewers, for tuning in this week to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. Hope to see you again next week.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
After a night out with your friends, there's always options for getting home safely. You could call your BFF, your mom or dad, whoever you can count on for a safe ride home. You could call your favorite cab company or 1-888 taxi guy. Or you could use the Arrive Alive smartphone app to help you choose your ride. Be it a friend, transit, or taxi, getting home safely is app easy. Now available for iOS and Android devices. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive so